Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Mideast Prepper here, doing a video today on a request from a close personal friend of mine who asked what would I be packing for a bug out scenario where I needed to get home maybe 100 miles. So first of all, I'd like to show is the pack that I'd be carrying. This is my 1970s era Gregory pack. It's probably a 60-80 liter pack. I don't know the exact specs on it, but I do know that it's pretty old. It's a nice, heavy, solid pack. First, I just want to say, though, forgive me if my voice is a little bit off. I'm getting over a cold here. But that pack is going to be strong enough and heavy-duty enough to carry everything that I need. Now, next we're going to talk about food. Food is going to be one of your top priorities. I have MREs shown here, and I also have Pro Bars. Each MRE, as I mentioned, is going to be 1,200 calories, but it's going to weigh about a little over a pound. So what you need to ask yourself is, how much weight can I comfortably carry? How many days do I really think I'm going to be out there? And how many calories do I need per day? For myself, I figured 1,200 calories. Maybe 2,000 is what you're going to need. That's something that I think people need to think about now ahead of time before they get out there. So for myself, 1,200. So I figure one MRE per day. And then I have in the Pro Bars and the other accessories there, I have enough for 5-6 days worth of food here. The other thing that you might be able to do along the trail is to collect food, which I'll get to in a minute. Next is first aid. You can see it's two different first aid kits here. And also an Israeli Z-bandage, or trauma bandage, whatever you want to call it. The first kit you can see has Quick Clot, the second kit does not. Again, first aid kit is going to depend on what you want, but both kits basically have the same. You have gauze to stop the bleeding, you have tape and wraps to take care of injuries. You've also got sanitation, so alcohol wipes, things like that to prevent infection, and USGI issue trauma bandages. So those are all important items. Next, I'm going to talk about signaling. Now, keep in mind, I'm not going through these in the 5 survival priorities. The first thing that's important out there, we're not going to go through that. I'm just going through a rundown of the kit. But signaling is going to be important because maybe as you're bugging out of the city, there's a chance that you could get rescued. So I've got a couple different ways here. I've got my good old GyroJet flare pen, signal mirror, I've got a whistle, and I've got handheld flares, and I've got this, which I really like, my Firefly strobe light. Now I also show here my L-Beam headlamp, mag light, and my Phoenix light. These are items that you could use to signal. Again, you got to pick out how many you'd have, but this is just an example. The one thing I like about these handheld flares is that it allows you to start campfire tinder if conditions are really, really wet. Next, let's move over to tools. Generally, I'd probably take my Gerber 600 with me because it has the locking blades, which allows me to do more things. I really prefer locking blades, but for a smaller pack, Leatherman Juice might be good. This friend in question has a Leatherman Wave, which is an excellent tool. I hope to review one at some point. Larger tool, count on the Glock knife. I have taken down trees with this. I've split hundreds and hundreds of pieces of firewood. It's never ever let me down, and that would be my primary choice. Next, we're going to get into fire making. I've got a number of methods here. First being one of these match safes, which also has the included striker. Next would be fire steel with a steel striker, or my favorite, magnesium bar. Now this is pretty cool. Oh, sorry about that. What it is a portable Esbit or trioxane burning stove. And this is one that I built myself out of aluminum. And what you do is you cut your piece of trioxane, place it on here. I'm going to show this cotton as an example. But you would place this on there, take your lighter, light it up, and there you go. You're able to balance your pot on there and cook. These are from the dentist's office. These are little cotton swabs, and they're excellent fire starters. Trioxane bars, these are expensive. These are about $1 a piece. So those are some considerations you're going to have. But the Doan machine and tool fire steel that you see down here is my absolute favorite method for starting fire. Next, we're going to get into shelter. We'll first talk about work gloves. These are mechanics gloves. They're not really this kind of gloves that I would recommend for any sort of heavy-duty bushcrafting. You'd want a good pair of leather gloves, but you need something to protect your hands. Sewing kit. Those gloves are going to come apart. Your clothing might come apart. These are all things that you might need. USGI poncho. This is a Stearns knockoff poncho, but it's about half the weight, so I enjoy carrying that. I got 100 feet of paracord, some foot warmers, and then this I had mentioned to my friend. This is the AMK Adventure Medical Kits Thermo Bivy. This is a sleeping bag in a can, basically, in a little bag. It's like a space blanket, but it's twice as thick, and it's set up so that it will reflect your body heat back. I never ever go out on the trail without one of these. Summertime, wintertime, doesn't matter. It's always in my pack. Duct tape, 1001 uses for that. Also wire. Now this is nice because this is snare wire. This you could use to set a game trap, or you could use it to help build your shelter. Coleman disposable poncho. These are like 99 cents. You always want to make sure you have one of these, because if you don't want to set up the full poncho, this is the kind of thing you can use to not only attract attention, but you can also use it to help build your shelter. Extra socks. I've got wool socks and I've got regular socks. I've got a compass here. Now let's get into water. Water is going to be one of your top priorities, and there's a couple options. You can use Nalgene bottles, which I usually use, or, as my friend and I both have, we have a lot of USGI canteens. And this one, I'm not going to pull it all out of the pouch because this is a really tight one, but it has the USGI cup inside, which is really important because it allows you to gather water. Now, I think that boiling water is one of your best options, but you might not be able to do that where you are. You might be somewhere where they don't want fires, or where a fire is going to attract a lot of attention. Maybe it's wet. But one thing that I had mentioned to my friend is you're going to have to take into consideration the availability of water in the area. Are you going to be somewhere where you need to truck in all your water, or are you going to be following a stream all the way home, or a river? Next, we have the Aquamira filter straw. This is, I think, one of the best options because it allows you to drink straight from the stream. But as I mentioned to my friend, unless you like backwashing, you're not going to be able to fill up your canteen with it, because you drink right through the straw, and then drink, obviously it's in your mouth, so you drink it, or you can, sort of backwash it into your canteen. So the other option, which I don't have, would be a pump filter, but I don't have one of those to show. I do have a Katadyn My Bottle purifier, but I don't have that to show here. So that's another option, one of the sport bottle filters. But for water, water's going to be your top priority. Think about it. Other than oxygen, you've got 3 days to live without water. So that's assuming you're not doing much. So water is going to be a top priority. Water purification tablets, you can use the drops, you can use any number of methods to purify, but the big thing is you need a good solid container. So then the question is, do you go civilian or do you go military style? Where I am, I normally go civilian because I have so many of these and they fit in the holders on the side of my Gregory pack, but USGI canteen is just as good. Let's talk about comms here. You might be traveling alone, you might be traveling by yourself. These Midland radios, the GTX 1000s, are nice because they allow you to also have the NOAA weather radio, which I'm going to pull up here.
Fog was reported with a temperature of 39 at Doylestown.
So that allows you to have your NOAA weather radio. These run on AA batteries, so whatever you choose, you're going to have to choose extra batteries for. You can see in both of these lights, I have an incandescent and I have an LED, and they're both powered by AA batteries. Now, another thing that you want to consider in comms and lighting is having hand crank ability. These lights, once they're done, they're done. If you don't have extra batteries for them, you're out of luck. As I mentioned to my friend in the email, 2 is one, 1 is none. You always want to have a backup, because chances are you're going to get out there, you're counting on your flashlight and it's going to be dead. Or you're counting on your knife and it's dull. So you always want to make sure you have redundancy in your pack, because I get a lot of people that will message me and say, oh, well, I carry this on my EDC. Do I need to carry such and such in my survival kit? And I say always yes, because chances are you're not going to have it when you need it. I mean, everybody that knows me knows that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, I have my Benchmade Mini Griptilian with me, unless I'm at church, and then I have my buck knife. But I always, always, always have this. But suppose there's that one day that it's not on your person, or while getting out of the vehicle, it falls off my pocket. Something happens. I don't have it. I have backups. So let's get into personal protection. This is the one that's going to make everybody happy. My absolute favorite, Browning BDM 9mm, with brand new as of today, factory original 15 round magazine, loaded with Speer Gold Dots. For me, 3 spare mags minimum. I'd go more, but weight is a factor here. Consider some snake shot. You might have something small that you don't want to take a full-size hit on. Carrying extra rounds. Hydroshocks, good rounds. Question for you is whether or not you want to carry the extra weight. Small cleaning kit, CLP, my favorite stuff. So this is, I consider, defensive. This is not obviously offensive. Right here you've got 45 rounds stacked up, obviously not considering the spares there, but this is not something that you're going to be out playing Rambo. This is something to keep people away from you because you should be staying away from them. But God forbid that you get into a situation you're cornered. My friend asked me, what about just taking 1 spare mag? Sure, I'd consider that. But for me, I like the peace of mind of having extra. One thing that I also mentioned was that a .22 caliber pistol might be a good idea. Not as a replacement for the 9, but in addition to. Maybe a little Ruger Mark II, something lightweight, or maybe a Walther P22. Something super light that you could have, that you could take small game with. So, problem is with a 9, as I mentioned, you're going to blow a lot of the meat off. So let's get into hygiene. Coming towards the end of our video here, you've got toilet paper. 2 rolls, 2 different rolls. You need to have it. Anybody who was in scouts or done any camping knows it sucks being out there without toilet paper. Yeah, you can use leaves. Yeah, you can use a smooth stone. There's a couple of different things you can do. But short of having a power washer out there, you're not going to get yourself clean. Pack toilet paper. Hand sanitizer. Get a big bottle. Make sure you have it. Soap. I prefer liquid soap. As I mentioned to my friend, bar soap is just going to get messy. And yeah, you can put it in a Ziploc bag, but guaranteed that Ziploc bag is going to get a tiny little hole in it, and then you're going to go in your pack, and it's going to be a wet, mucky mess of soap residue in there. I prefer liquid soap because you can put the cap on. Toothpaste, toothbrush, maybe not necessary, but worst comes to worst, you don't have toothpaste, whatever, use it to clean your firearm.